Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Kimberly Dees, and I am a principal informaticist, data educator since 2020, and have been a data professional for about 13 years. And today I'm very excited to present to you this presentation on why Excel should be the foundational language that anyone who is new to data analytics should learn before learning a programming language like Python and R. So let me start with an observation that has really surprised me throughout my career. I've worked with many different levels of professionals and many different types of organizations. People from entry-level data analysts all the way up to principal data scientists. But I'm continuously surprised by how many of them underestimate the value of solid Excel skills. Even those folks that I've met that have great skills in Python, R, and SQL often are a little lacking when it comes to foundational knowledge in Excel, a tool that I honestly think would make them much more effective and valuable in their roles. So today I want to explain why solid Excel skills matter. First, reason I think Excel is an ideal tool for a beginner is because it's easy to learn. It has a very small learning curve, lots of point and click simplicity. You literally get to see exactly what you're doing on the screen. And when you make mistakes, it's usually pretty obvious. And more importantly, it's super easy to fix. Unlike languages like Python and R, there's no confusing syntax to memorize, no semicolons to worry about, indentations, brackets, parentheses, none of that is required to have great Excel skills. So what that means is that you actually get to spend time focusing on data analytics concepts like filtering and sorting, aggregation, all without being overwhelmed by the technicalities required for higher level programming languages. What you're ultimately doing is you're learning to think about the data without being concerned at this point with how to write code. The second reason, Excel is literally everywhere. Every type of work environment that you could think of, government, industry, academia, nonprofit, for-profit, medtech, the one thing they all had in common in terms of tools was Excel spreadsheets. And they're also used across a lot of different industries. Now, my background is mostly in research science and healthcare, but you'll also find Excel spreadsheets in finance and marketing. So it's a universal tool that is often used to collaborate, especially with non-technical stakeholders. Your manager, who may or may not be a data professional, probably knows how to use Excel spreadsheets. So with that, it should be an expected skill in almost every data-related job. And I think that's changed since I first started talking about this around 2020. The realization started to happen where spreadsheet skills started to be super important, and mostly because it serves as a bridge between technical data professionals and business teams. Ultimately, you're both speaking the same language, and that's why having Excel skills are so valuable. The third reason is that you learn the foundation for thinking like a data professional by learning Excel. Well, how do you do that? Because you learn things like pivot tables, which in a programming language like SQL or Python is represented by a function called group by. In Excel, you learn VLOOKUP, which is similar to SQL joins. But the most important aspect of Excel, in my opinion, is that you learn to visualize very simplistically bar charts, line charts, etc., all using Excel long before you have to know what matplotlib and seaborn are. The bottom line is that the learning curve for Excel, again, as I mentioned, not that difficult. And for organizations that can't afford higher level programming folks like data scientists, data analysts, a tool like Excel becomes very handy. Probably the biggest reason I love Excel, especially when I'm given short time frames for producing data visualizations, is because you can get immediate results that produce tangible information. Okay. So as an example, I was once tasked with coming up with a bar chart in a very short amount of time. And I knew that if I booted up Tableau and had to import the tables and then do all the configuration, it'd take about 15 minutes. But in Excel, I could probably do it in 5. So I went with Excel. Now, the stakeholder didn't care what I created it in, but that's just a real simple example of how having great Excel skills can really save you in a bind when you have a short amount of time. And so that's one of the really great reasons why Excel is a great tool to know how to use. So what's that relationship in terms of foundation between Excel and code? So I already mentioned that VLOOKUP is very similar to SQL joins. I mentioned that pivot tables are very much like pandas. And so those are some of the one-on-one relationships that you learn when you have a foundation in Excel. When you do get to learning programming languages, it'll be much more intuitive for you. And lastly, I have to reemphasize the charts and visualizations. In programming languages, it's Matplotlib, Seaborn, ggplot. In Excel, it's much simpler, much quicker, again, allowing you to make contributions and add value in a short amount of time. So what are some key takeaways from learning Excel? Well, it builds the intuition for data concepts that translate directly into programming. You're not just learning a tool, you're actually learning how to think about data. The faster learning curve simply means you'll be able to contribute value quicker to your team and your organization. I mentioned before, Excel is a universal language for communication across technical and business teams, and more importantly, to stakeholders. That makes you a versatile professional because I mentioned before, many higher level coding folks don't really know Excel as well as they should. So you'll be bringing another level of professionalism to the table. Now, if you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more data and career tips. I'm shooting for a goal of at least once a week. We'll see how that goes. As you all know, my schedule is pretty busy. But in the meantime, if you can drop a comment and let me know, did you learn the fundamentals or what I was getting at with the fundamentals with this video? Is there something you think I should have mentioned? Please be sure to say in the comments because I would love to hear about your experiences. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.